Hello, I want to share with you how to make a broccoli chicken casserole. That is pretty delicious and it has such low carbs. That was my mission, low carbs, and I think I did it. I've got 5 parts that I'm going to put together. I've been kind of working in the background and getting the pieces ready so you can see put together. But you know, casseroles, don't you have a favorite casserole? I know I used to make a potato casserole, and I think casserole just means family. And so this is a broccoli chicken casserole. Here we go. The first thing that I did, and there's 5 things, I went ahead and got about 2 pounds of broccoli. I boiled it, cleaned it, and then I boiled it, or I would say I steamed it for 5 minutes, and then I put it or shocked it in ice water. And I had something like this left over. So I'm taking what's shocked, which means that I chilled it, I stopped it from cooking, and I am cutting it in the smallest pieces that I can. So that's the first layer of our casserole. I'm going to add a little bit more pepper. My pepper shaker is running out, and I steamed it in salty water. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you're going to add chicken on top of this. So I took basically white with a little bit of thigh to give it a little more flavor, and I cut those chicken pieces small, and I'm going to layer chicken on top. So I figured out all this chicken was about 80 grams of protein. The broccoli has a few carbs in it, hardly worth counting, but it does have a few. So you'll put as much chicken as you want on it for step number 2. I think that's about enough. I hate to waste the chicken, but I know someone who will eat this chicken. Okay, that's step number 2. How about adding a little more pepper? And how about turning that oven on 375? Okay, that's step number 2. I think I can add more. I'm gonna fill up the green. Might as well use it up. All right. Step number 2. Step number 3 is I made homemade cream of mushroom soup. You'll see that in my other video. I show you how I did that. But here it is. It's just been sitting on the stove in my cast iron, and I'm going to put that on top. Cream of mushroom soup. Yes, you can use a can of cream of mushroom soup and add some products to it. Some broth, some spices, but I made this because I wanted it to be homemade. So here we go. So now I have a layer of that. You may say, how did you make that, Miss Carlene? Well, I've made a video, so you can check and see. I'm posting a couple today. I think it needs just a little bit more sauce. So I could add a little water. I could add a little more broth. Maybe just a little bit of water. Not very much. Just a little bit. That's step number 3. Okay? Step number 4. I'll now say this is 4 and 5 together. I want to put a topping on top of this. Now, I know in the old days we would put this on top, wouldn't we? Yeah. Actually, I like to eat these. Do you know they're made out of buckwheat? Look at that. So what I decided to do was to make my own using buckwheat. So let me just grab that, and here they are. They're not beautiful, but they're really good. I made my own onion rings. So what I'm gonna do is take my homemade onion rings that are made out of buckwheat flour. I use less than a tablespoon, and I'm going to crunch them up. That's good. And then I did have a bowl here. And actually, this is what I used. I used buckwheat. I'm going back, just let me regress. I use buckwheat and Parmesan cheese, and I use paprika. And that's what I covered those slices of eggs with. I dipped them in slices of onion, and I dipped them in egg, and then I put some buckwheat flour that had a little Parmesan on it. It made it this brownish color because buckwheat. Do you know anything about buckwheat? Look at this stuff. Oh my goodness. I bet you didn't know. It's not very pretty, but I wanted to try cooking with it, and so I added some Parmesan cheese and some paprika. That's just something I put together. And then I took an onion and sliced it, and I dipped the onion in egg wash, put it in the buckwheat, and baked it in the oven. I'll have the exact on the description below. But anyway, so now I've taken and I've crushed them up. So here's my topping. This is 1 cup of sourdough bread. Actually, it's a piece this big. We're talking maybe 15 carbs, if that, probably less. But that's what this is. Then I wanted to, isn't really going to cover, it's not enough. So I thought, why don't I use some cauliflower, rice cauliflower? And I made a whole package of that, and that's right here. And I'm going to add just some tablespoons, three heaping tablespoons. You could add more, but see, I just don't want to be using all bread. And then I'm going to add my buckwheat onion rings. That is cool. I've already salt and peppered everything. So that's my topping. And I'm going to take this and sprinkle it on top of this. I've got my oven heating. And this is a homemade. Everything is homemade. So it's going to be healthy. This is a broccoli chicken casserole with my own toppings. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and we're going to try to pause the camera. And if it works, we'll come back and show you it at the end. If it doesn't, I don't need to come back. You get the idea. This is going into the oven at 375 for only about 20 minutes, not very long. But if you're looking for something to make, something kind of special like I was looking for, maybe this will work for you. So goodbye. I pray that this food is blessed.